Captain Jake Morrison stared out at the massive space station floating in the dark void. Nexus Prime was bigger than any city on Earth. Its silver walls stretched for miles in every direction. Lights blinked like stars across its surface. Ships from dozens of different worlds came and went like busy insects. "Never seen anything like it," said Dr. Lisa Hayes as she joined him at the window. Her voice was soft with wonder. "Hard to believe we're really here." Jake nodded. 3 years ago, humanity had made first contact with aliens. Now they were at the center of galactic civilization, asking to join the most powerful group in the known universe. The Galactic Council controlled thousands of worlds and had existed for over 10,000 years. "Are you nervous?" Lisa asked. "Terrified," Jake admitted. "But we have to try." The ship's intercom crackled to life. "Captain Morrison to the bridge," came the voice of Commander Amy Rodriguez. "We're being contacted by the station." Jake and Lisa hurried to the bridge of the Terra Nova. The main screen showed a creature that looked like living crystal. Its body was blue and clear, with light moving through it like electricity. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music. "Human vessel Terra Nova, you are cleared to dock at Bay 47. Ambassador Kevin Blake will be escorted to the council chamber." "In 2 hours." "Thank you," Jake replied. "We're honored to be here." The crystal being's light flickered. "Honor is earned, not given freely. The council will decide if your species deserves such consideration." The screen went dark. Amy looked at Jake with worry in her eyes. "Friendly bunch," she said. 2 hours later, Ambassador Blake stood in the council chamber. The room was enormous, with 12 raised platforms arranged in a circle. On each platform sat a different type of alien being. Some looked like animals from Earth, but wrong somehow. Others were so strange that Blake could barely understand what he was looking at. The crystal being from before spoke first. "I am High Counselor Zithra of the Zephyrian Empire. We control time itself." To prove this, Zethra waved one of its arms. The air around it rippled, and Blake watched a flower appear, bloom, and die in seconds. Next came a creature that looked like a giant insect with too many legs. Its voice buzzed like 1,000 flies. "I am Hive Queen Scrix of the Krell hierarchy. We have conquered death." The insect being touched a dead plant on its platform. The plant immediately came back to life, growing new leaves. One by one, each council member showed off their power. The Moltar could step through walls like they weren't there. The Vorthan had built living ships that could think and feel. The Ethereal Collective could read minds from across the galaxy. Finally, all eyes turned to Blake. He felt very small and very human. "And what can your species offer the council?" asked Zethra. Blake cleared his throat. He had practiced this speech 1,000 times. Humanity offers determination. We never give up. When others said flying was impossible, we built airplanes. When they said we could never reach space, we walked on our moon. When diseases killed millions, we found cures. He continued, growing more confident. We offer creativity. Humans can solve problems in ways no one expects. We build tools, make art, and find new ways to do old things. We offer courage. Humans will risk everything to save a stranger. We run into burning buildings to help people we've never met. We share food with the hungry and homes with those who have none. The council members looked at each other. Some made sounds that might have been laughing. The insect queen buzzed loudly. "Primitive emotions," she said. "These behaviors show weakness, not strength." A floating ball of energy spoke next. "Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your lifespans are short. Your bodies are fragile. What use are you to advanced civilizations?" Blake felt his heart sink, but he kept talking. "Maybe we're not the strongest or the smartest, But we care about each other. We help those who need help. We believe every life has value. Exactly the problem, said Zethra. The crystal being's light pulsed red. Emotional thinking leads to poor decisions. Resources wasted on the weak could be used to strengthen the worthy. Your species is too attached to inefficient concepts like mercy and compassion. Another council member, looking like a metal tree, spoke up. The Galactic Council has maintained order for 10,000 years by making hard choices. We cannot allow emotional species to disrupt this balance. Blake looked around the chamber. Every face, no matter how alien, showed the same cold judgment. So you're saying we're rejected because we care too much? Correct, said Zethra. The Council has voted. Humanity is denied membership. Your species is deemed emotionally unstable and unsuitable for civilized society. The words hit Blake like a physical blow. All of Earth's hopes, all their dreams of joining the galactic community, crushed in minutes. Furthermore, continued, the crystal being, Earth is banned from Council space. Any human ships found in our territory will be destroyed. You have 7 days to leave. As Blake was escorted out, he passed through a large viewing area. Through the windows, he could see something that made him stop in shock. Dozens of ships floated in space near the station. They looked old and damaged. Many had strange designs he'd never seen before. What are those ships? He asked his escort, a floating robot. Refuse ships, the robot answered without emotion. Failed species being expelled from Council space. They will be destroyed if they do not leave within the time limit. Blake pressed his face against the window. He could see creatures moving inside the ships. Families with children. Old ones who looked sick. They had nowhere to go. When Blake returned to the Terra Nova, he found Jake and the others waiting anxiously. Well? Asked Lisa. Blake shook his head. We're out. They think we're too emotional, too weak. We care too much about the wrong things. What happens now? Asked Amy. Before Blake could answer, the ship's communications officer called out. Captain, we're receiving distress signals. Lots of them. All from those ships outside the station. Jake looked at the screen showing the refugee vessels. Inside one ship, he could see small figures that might have been children. In another, creatures that looked like they were dying. Sir? Asked Amy. What are your orders? Jake stared at the ships full of abandoned beings. The Council had made it clear what they thought of humanity's compassion. Maybe they were right. Maybe caring was a weakness that would get them all killed. But as he watched a small figure wave from one of the refugee ships, Jake made his choice. Set course for the refugee fleet, he said quietly. Let's go see who needs help. The Terra Nova moved slowly toward the refugee ships. Jake stood on the bridge, watching the damaged vessels grow larger on the screen. Some had holes in their sides. Others looked like they were held together with scrap metal and hope. Captain, said Lieutenant Sam Davis from the pilot's seat, I'm getting life sign readings from all the ships. But some of the readings are getting weaker. Dr. Elena Torres looked up from her medical scanner. They're dying, she said simply. Whatever's wrong with them, they don't have long. Ben Carter, the chief engineer, was studying the ships through. His equipment. Some of these designs are incredible, he said with excitement. Look at this one. It's growing new parts to fix itself. And that one over there is made of some kind of living metal. Focus, Ben, Jake said. We need to help them first, study them later. The communication system buzzed. A voice came through, speaking in a language none of them understood. It sounded scared and desperate. Computer, can you translate? Jake asked. Working, the ship's computer replied. After a moment, words appeared on the screen. Please help us. Our children are dying. We have nowhere to go. Lisa moved to the communication station. This is Dr. Lisa Hayes of the human ship, Terra. Nova, we want to help you. Can you understand us? There was silence for a long moment. Then a new voice came through, speaking broken but understandable English. You want to help? But Council says all ships must leave or be destroyed. We're not part of the Council, Jake said. We were rejected too. What's your situation? The alien voice sounded surprised. You were rejected also? But you have strong ships, good technology. Not good enough for them, Jake replied. Now tell us what you need. Over the next hour, they learned about the refugee fleet. 17 different alien species had been thrown out of Council space. Each had a story of rejection and abandonment. First ship they contacted belonged to the Cylani, plant-like beings whose sun was dying. They had asked the Council for help moving to a new world. The Council said it would cost too much and wasn't worth saving a primitive agricultural species. Another ship held the Korthik, creatures made of living stone who thought and moved very slowly. The Council rejected them for being unable to adapt to modern galactic pace. The aquatic Nethra had lost their ocean world to pollution. When they asked for help cleaning their water, the Council said the planet was economically unviable for restoration. Each story was the same. These species had something wrong with them in the Council's eyes. Too slow, too weak, too expensive. To help, too different to understand. Ben, Jake called to his engineer. Take a team and see if you can help repair their ships. On it, Captain, Ben replied, grabbing his tools. Elena, prepare the medical bay. It sounds like we're going to. Have patience. Dr. Torres nodded and hurried off. The first alien to come aboard the Terra Nova was Zixta, a young Cylani who spoke for her people. She looked like a walking tree with golden bark and leaves that changed color when she talked. Her voice sounded like wind through branches. Your people are very kind, she said to Lisa. We have not seen kindness in many cycles. The Council worlds would not even sell us food when our crops failed. Why did your crops fail? Lisa asked. Zixta's leaves turned dark blue, which seemed to mean sadness. Our star grows cold. Soon it will die completely. We asked the Great Powers for help, but they said moving an entire species cost too much energy. Dr. Torres came over with her medical scanner. May I examine you? I want to make sure you're healthy. Zixta agreed. As Elena ran her tests, she made an interesting discovery. Your cellular structure is amazing, she told the plant being. You can photosynthesize almost any kind of light into energy. With the right setup, you could live almost anywhere. But our star dies, Zixta said sadly. Maybe we can find you a new star. Elena suggested. Next came Mordun, an elder of the Korthik people. He looked like a walking boulder with crystal eyes. When he moved, it was very slow and deliberate. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rumbling like an earthquake. Young humans, he said, each word taking several seconds. You move so fast. Think so quick, like the Council races. But you stopped to help. This is confusing. Ben was examining a piece of Korthik technology that Mordun had brought. This is incredible, he said. It's some kind of crystal computer, but it's been running for thousands of years without any maintenance. My people think slowly, Mordun explained, but we think deeply. We build things to last forever. Council says this makes us useless in fast-changing galaxy. That's stupid, Ben said bluntly. Half the problems in the galaxy come from things breaking too fast. Your technology could change everything. As the day went on, more aliens came aboard. Each species had unique abilities that the Council had dismissed as worthless. The energy-based. Lumni could manipulate electricity and power in ways humans had never imagined. But the Council said they were too unstable for proper technology integration. The winged Aerith could fly in space without ships, moving between asteroids and planets like birds. The Council called them primitive for not building proper. Spacecraft, the telepathic Valtari, could share thoughts and feelings across vast distances. But the Council feared telepaths and banned them from all official positions, not by evening. The Terra Nova's medical bay was full of sick and injured aliens. Dr. Torres worked tirelessly, but she was overwhelmed. "Jake," she called to the captain, "I need help. Some of these conditions are easy to treat, but I can't handle them all alone." Jake looked around at the suffering beings filling his ship. Children crying in languages he couldn't understand. Elderly aliens who looked like they were dying. Families huddled together in fear. Lieutenant Davis approached him. "Captain, I've been monitoring Council communications. They're sending a warship to clear out the refugee fleet. All ships that don't leave in the next 6 hours will be destroyed." "How? Long until the warship arrives?" Jake asked. 12 hours, sir." Jake closed his eyes and thought. The smart thing would be to leave. Take the Terra Nova and run before the Council ship arrived. Humanity was already banned from Council space. Getting involved with the refugees would only make things worse. But then he heard a small sound. One of the Cylani children was crying. The sound was like wind chimes in a storm. Beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time, God Ambassador Blake appeared at his shoulder. "The politicians back on Earth are screaming at us through subspace," he said quietly. "They want us to come home immediately. They're afraid helping these refugees will make the Council angry enough to attack Earth. What do you think?" Jake asked. Blake looked around at the aliens filling their ship. "I think the Council is already our enemy. The question is, what kind of people do we want to be when we fight them?" Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Sam Davis called out from the bridge. "Captain, emergency on Refugee Ship 7. Their life support is failing. They've got maybe an hour before everyone aboard dies." Jake looked at the main screen. Ship 7 was one of the Cylani vessels. Through the windows, he could see small figures moving frantically inside. "Those are children," Lisa said, her voice tight with emotion. "Sir," said Amy Rodriguez, "if we help them, we'll definitely be here when the Council warship arrives. There won't be time to escape." Jake stared at the dying ship. Inside were innocent beings whose only crime was being rejected by a cold, uncaring government. Children who would die because they weren't considered worth saving. The Council was right about one thing. Humans were emotional. They did make decisions based on feelings rather than logic. "Sam," Jake said finally, "prep the shuttle. Ben, grab your emergency repair kit. Elena, get ready to receive patients. We're going to save those kids." "Sir," Amy said, "this could start a war." Jake looked at her steadily. "Then maybe it's time for a war." The shuttle bay doors opened, and Lieutenant Sam Davis guided his craft toward the dying Cylani ship. Through the shuttle's windows, Jake could see the refugee vessel spinning slowly in space. Lights flickered on and off across its surface like a heartbeat growing weaker. "Life support readings are critical," reported Ben Carter from the co-pilot seat. "Whatever's wrong over there, it's bad." Dr. Elena Torres checked her medical supplies one more time. "How many survivors are we looking at?" 43 life signs, Sam answered. "Most of them small. Children, probably." The shuttle docked with the alien vessel with a soft thump. Jake felt his stomach tighten as they put on their emergency breathing gear. If the Cylani ship's atmosphere was gone, they might already be too late. The airlock opened with a hiss. The air that came out smelled like dying flowers and tasted bitter. But it was BREATHABLE inside the ship. Jake saw something that would stay with him forever. Dozens of young Cylani huddled together in the main room. Their golden bark was turning gray, and their leaves were falling off like snow. Adult Cylani moved among them, trying to comfort the children even as they grew weaker themselves. Zixt met them at the entrance. Her usual bright colors were faded, and she moved like every step was painful. "You came," she whispered, her voice like dry leaves, "even though it brings you danger." "Of course we came," Jake said. "What's wrong with your ship?" "The life support system is dying," Zixta explained. "We are plant people. We need certain gases to breathe, specific light wavelengths to live. Our machine that makes these things is broken. We tried to fix it, but we do not understand your metal technologies." Ben was already moving toward the back of the ship with his tools. "Show me where it is. I'll get it working." While Ben worked on the life support system, Dr. Torres began examining the sick Cylani. Many of the children were barely conscious. "This is treatable," she told Jake with relief. "They're basically suffering from malnutrition and oxygen deprivation. If we can get their life support working, they'll recover." "How long do we have?" Jake asked. "Maybe 30 minutes before we start losing the little ones." Jake activated his communicator. "Terra Nova, this is the captain. I need an emergency. Supply drop. Bring portable oxygen generators and medical supplies." Commander Amy Rodriguez's voice came back immediately. "Sir, the Council warship just appeared on our sensors. It's moving this way fast. How long until it gets here?" 20 minutes, maybe less." Jake looked around at the dying children. 20 minutes to save 43 lives. It wasn't enough time. "Ben," he called out, "how's that life support coming?" "Almost got it." Ben's voice echoed from deep inside. "The ship. This technology is incredible, but whoever designed it never expected it to break down. There are no replacement parts, no repair manuals. It's like they built it to run forever." "The Council races do not break," Zixta said sadly. "They do not understand that lesser beings might need to fix things." A new voice came over Jake's communicator. It was Admiral Frank Stone, commander of Earth's space fleet. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Stone aboard the New Horizon. We received your distress call." Jake's heart jumped. "Sir, you shouldn't be here." Earth Command ordered all ships to return home. "Earth Command can go to hell," the Admiral said. Bluntly, "I brought 12 ships and 3,000 crew members who volunteered for this mission. No one ordered them to come. They chose to." Through the Cylani ship's windows, Jake could see human vessels appearing in space around the refugee fleet. The New Horizon was a massive battleship, twice the size of the Terra Nova. Around it flew smaller ships, all bearing Earth's flag. "Admiral," Jake said, "there's a Council warship coming. This could mean war. Then we'll give them a war they won't forget," Admiral Stone replied. "How many civilians do we need to evacuate?" Before Jake could answer, Ben's voice rang out from the back of the ship. "Got it. Life support is back online." Immediately, the lights on the Cylani ship grew brighter and steadier. The air began to smell fresher. Around them, the sick children began to stir as life-giving gases flowed through the ship. Once more, Dr. Torres worked quickly, moving from child to child with her medical equipment. "They're stabilizing," she reported. "Give them a few hours, and they'll be fine." Zixta's colors began to return to normal. "You saved us," she said to Jake. "Your people saved our children when the greatest powers in the galaxy would not." "That's what people do," Jake said simply. "We help each other." A new voice came over the communicator. It was cold and mechanical, speaking perfect English. "Human vessels, this is Council warship Retribution. You are in violation of Council directives. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Admiral Stone answered for all of them. "This is Admiral Stone of the Earth Fleet. We are conducting humanitarian rescue operations. We will not withdraw. The beings you are assisting have been lawfully expelled from council space. Your interference is an act of war. Jake looked around at the Cylani children, now laughing and playing as their health returned. Young beings who had been hours away from death, saved by people who barely knew them. Admiral, Jake said into his communicator, these aren't military targets. They're families, children, people who just want to live. I can see them on our scanners, Captain, Admiral Stone replied. Every one of them. The Council warship appeared on the horizon, sleek and deadly. It was larger than any human vessel, crackling with energy weapons that could destroy planets. Humans, the Council ship broadcast, you have 10 seconds to begin withdrawal, or we will open fire. Jake held his breath. Around them, the refugee ships waited in silence. Hundreds of alien families watched to see if the humans would abandon them like everyone else had. Admiral Stone's voice cut through the tension. Council vessel, this is our response. Suddenly, every human ship in the fleet moved. But instead of retreating, they positioned themselves between the Council warship and the refugees. The New Horizon put itself directly in the line of fire. You want to kill innocent families? Admiral Stone challenged. You'll have to go through us first. Jake felt a surge of pride in his species. Earth's politicians might be cowards, but Earth's people were not. When it mattered, humans chose to stand up for what was right. The Council warship hesitated. For long moments, nothing happened. Then its weapons began to charge. All human ships, Admiral Stone ordered, prepare for battle. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity stands for. But before the first shot could be fired, something unexpected happened. Other ships began appearing around the battle zone. Not human ships and not Council vessels. These were different, stranger, with designs Jake had never seen before. A new voice came over the communicator, speaking in heavily accented English. Council ship Retribution, this is Captain Nayara of the Veltari vessel Mindbridge. We stand with the humans. More voices joined in. Ships from species Jake had never heard of. Refugees from other parts of the galaxy who had been watching the confrontation. This is the free ship Wanderer. We stand with the humans. Exile vessel. Hope's End. We stand with the humans. Independent trader Last Chance. We stand with the humans. Within minutes, dozens of ships surrounded the Council vessel. All of them were smaller and weaker than the warship, but together they outnumbered it heavily. The Council warship's captain seemed confused. These vessels are not registered. They have no right to be in Council space. This isn't Council space. Anymore, Admiral Stone replied. This is free space. And free people protect each other. Jake looked out at the fleet of outcasts and rebels surrounding them. Humans and aliens working together, united by nothing more than the belief that innocent people deserved protection. The Council warship powered down its weapons. This engagement is postponed, its captain announced. The Council will hear of this violation. I'm sure they will, Admiral Stone said. Tell them humanity has made its choice. We choose to stand with the rejected, the abandoned, and the forgotten. If that makes us your enemies, so be it. The Council warship turned and fled into hyperspace dot as Jake watched it disappear. He realized something important had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy. They had found their people, not the cold, perfect Council races, but the outcasts and misfits who believed life was worth protecting. Captain, Zixta said beside him, what happens now? Jake looked around at the mixed fleet of human and alien ships. Now we build something better, he said. Together. 6 months after the confrontation with the Council warship, Haven Station floated in space like a small metal city. What had started as a few connected refugee ships had grown into something amazing. Human engineering mixed with alien technology created a space habitat unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. General Chris Murphy walked through the station's main corridor, amazed by what he saw every day. Cylani children played with human kids in gardens that grew food from a dozen different worlds. Korthic engineers worked alongside human technicians, building machines that would last for centuries. The air itself was breathable by 17. Different species, thanks to atmospheric processors that no single race could have built alone. General Murphy to the command center. Came a voice over the station's intercom. "We have visitors." Chris made his way to the command center, where Captain Sue Bennett was studying the main display screen. Sue commanded the Unity, a new type of ship built using combined human and alien technology. It looked like no vessel anyone had ever seen, part human durability, part alien innovation. "What do we have, Sue?" Chris asked. "3 ships just came." "Out of hyperspace," Sue replied. "They're not Council vessels, but they're not broadcasting any identification either." On the screen, Chris could see the approaching ships. They were sleek and elegant, clearly advanced technology. But something about them seemed different from the usual Council designs. Dr. Alex Foster hurried into the command center, excitement clear on his face. Alex led the research teams that were unlocking secrets by combining different alien technologies. In just 6 months, they had made breakthroughs that would have taken human science decades to achieve alone. "General," Alex said, "you need to see this. Those ships are using technology I've never encountered before. Their energy signatures are completely unique." The communication system activated. A voice came through, speaking clear English with a slight accent. "Haven Station, this is Dr. Kethalon aboard the research vessel Enlightenment. I request permission to dock. I have information vital to your survival." Chris and Sue exchanged glances. "Dr. Kethalon," Sue replied, "identify your species and your purpose here." "I am Zephyrian, formerly of the Galactic Council's Science Division. I have come to warn you and to offer my assistance." A Zephyrian, one of the crystal beings, from the Council's ruling species. Chris felt his hand move instinctively toward his weapon. "Why should we trust you?" he asked. "Because the Council plans to destroy Haven Station in 7 days, Kethalon replied. "And because I believe what you are building here is more important than anything the Council has achieved in 10,000 years. An hour later, Dr. Kethalon stood in Haven Station's main meeting room. The crystal being looked like all Zephyrians tall, blue, and translucent, with light moving through its body like flowing water. But unlike the cold Council leaders, this one seemed nervous and uncertain. "I have spent my life serving the Council," Kethalon began. "I believed we were bringing order to the galaxy. But watching your actions has shown me something I never understood before." General Murphy sat across from the alien scientist, along with representatives from 12 different species. The Unity Council, as they had started calling themselves, made decisions together instead of having one group rule over all the others. "What did you learn?" asked Niara, the telepathic Valtari who had become humanity's first alien ally. Kethalon's light pulsed sadly. "I learned that order without compassion is not civilization. It is tyranny. The Council calls itself advanced, but we have forgotten how to care about others." "Why are you here?" asked Mordawn, the elderly Korthic whose slow, deep voice commanded. "Respect from everyone. 2 reasons, Kethalon replied. "First, to warn you. The Council is sending a battle fleet to destroy Haven Station. They cannot allow your ideas to spread. If other species see that cooperation works better than domination, the Council's power will crumble." Chris felt his blood run cold. "How big a fleet?" 50 warships. They arrive in 1 week. The room fell silent. Haven Station's combined fleet had grown to nearly 100 ships. but most were converted civilian vessels or small patrol craft. Against 50 Council warships, they wouldn't stand a chance in a straight fight. "What's the second reason you're here?" asked Captain Sue Bennett. Cathalon reached into a container and pulled out a small crystal device. "I have brought you the Council's greatest secret. For 10,000 years, we have maintained power not through superior technology alone, but through superior information. This device contains the complete database of Council weaknesses, battle plans, and internal conflicts." Dr. Foster leaned forward eagerly. "You're giving us their military secrets?" "More than that," Cathalon said. "I am giving you the knowledge to defeat them. The Council appears strong, but it has many cracks. 3 member species are considering rebellion. Their military is spread thin across too many worlds, and their technology has a critical flaw that none of them realize." "What flaw?" Chris asked. Cathalon's light pulsed brighter. "They design everything to be perfect. Their ships, their weapons, their systems, all are built to work flawlessly under ideal conditions. But your human saying is correct. No plan survives contact with the enemy. Council technology fails when faced with unexpected situations." Over the next few days, Haven Station became a hive of activity. Using Cathalon-S information, the Alliance prepared for the coming battle. But they weren't just building weapons. They were building something much more powerful. The Solani's biological computers were connected to Corthic crystal processors, creating thinking machines that could adapt and learn in real time. Veltari, telepaths linked with human communications officers, allowing instant coordination across the entire fleet. The energy-based Lumni taught humans how to manipulate power in ways that defied physics. Dr. Foster worked around the clock in his laboratory. "This is incredible," he told General Murphy. "Each species the Council rejected had abilities that complement the others perfectly. The Cylani can grow new technology. The Corthic can make it last forever. The Veltari can coordinate it instantly. It's like they were meant to work together." "Maybe they were," Chris replied. "Maybe the Council's biggest mistake was thinking diversity was weakness instead of strength." As the week progressed, more ships arrived at Haven Station. Not just refugees now, but rebels and dissidents from across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered by the Council decades ago sent secret support. Pirates and smugglers brought weapons and supplies. Even some progressive Council members sent coded messages of encouragement. The most surprising arrival came 3 days before the attack. A massive ship appeared at the edge of the system, larger than anything in the Alliance. Fleet. It was clearly of Council design, but it wasn't attacking. "This is Captain Zarathul of the Council ship Redemption," came the transmission. "I request permission to join your alliance." Captain Sue Bennett, now commanding the defense fleet, answered. "Personally, Captain Zarathul, you are a Council vessel. Why would you want to join us?" "Because you represent what the Council was supposed to be," Zarathul replied. "A force that protects the innocent and helps those in need. We have forgotten our original purpose. You have reminded us." The Redemption brought with it 200 Council soldiers who had deserted rather than fight against civilians. They also brought intelligence about the approaching fleet's battle plans. "The attack will come from 3 directions," Zarathul explained to the Unity Council. "They plan to destroy the station first, then hunt down any survivors. They expect you to try to evacuate. Will we?" asked Nyara. General Murphy shook his head. "No, this is our home now. We make our stand here." The night before the battle, Jake Morrison walked through Haven Station one last time. He had been promoted to Admiral after the success of the refugee rescue, but he still thought of himself as a simple ship captain who tried to do the right thing. In the Cylani Gardens, he found children from a dozen species playing together. They had grown up on the station and saw nothing strange about having friends who looked like plants, rocks, or energy beings dot in the workshops. He saw engineers solving problems by combining ideas no single species would have thought of. Human creativity, Korthic patience, Cylani adaptability, and Veltari coordination working as one dot in the command center. He found officers from 17 different species planning the defense of their shared home, not because they were forced to work together, but because they chose to. "Admiral," said Captain Bennett, "the Council fleet just appeared on our sensors. 50 ships, just like Kethlon said." Jake nodded. "Send the message to all ships. Today, we don't fight for any single species or world. We fight for the idea that different people can choose to live together in peace." As the Council fleet approached, Jake thought about how far they had come. A year ago, humanity had been alone in the galaxy, rejected and unwanted. Now they led an alliance of dozens of species who had chosen cooperation over conquest. The Council fleet was impressive. 50 gleaming warships arranged in perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready. They moved with mechanical precision, every ship in exactly the right place. "They're beautiful," admitted Captain Bennett. "Cold and deadly, but beautiful." "Beauty without heart is just decoration," Jake replied. "Let's show them what real strength is." 5 years later, President Maya Collins stood in the Great Assembly Hall of New Haven, watching delegates from over 200 species take their seats. The hall had been built where the old council chamber once stood, but everything about it was different. Instead of raised platforms that separated the speakers from each other, there were curved rows that brought everyone together. Instead of cold metal and crystal, the walls were covered with living art from the Cylani, crystal formations from the Korthic, and light sculptures from the energy beings. "Hard to believe it all started with a rejected membership application," said Admiral Jake Morrison, now gray-haired but still sharp-eyed. Maya smiled. The Council was right about one thing. We humans are too emotional. We just proved that was our greatest strength, not our weakness. The old Galactic Council had fallen apart within 2 years of the Battle of Haven Station. Once other species saw that cooperation worked better than domination, rebellions broke out across the galaxy. Some Council worlds joined the Alliance peacefully. Others had to be liberated by force. A few Council species, like the Zephyrians, split into 2 groups: progressives, who joined the New Order, and traditionalists, who retreated to isolated worlds. The transformation hadn't been easy. Dr. Ian Brooks, now head of the Interspecies Research Consortium, had spent years figuring out how to make hundreds of different species work together. Some breathed oxygen, others needed methane. Some lived in gravity, others in zero-G. Some thought fast, others thought slow. The key, Dr. Brooks explained to the assembly, was learning that different doesn't mean wrong. Every species has something valuable to offer. The trick is creating systems where everyone can contribute their best while accommodating their needs. The results had been amazing. Technology advanced faster than ever before because species shared knowledge instead of hoarding it. The Solani's biological computers, combined with human programming, had created artificial intelligences that could think and feel. Korthic engineering with Veltari coordination had built space habitats that could house millions while feeling like small communities. But the greatest achievement was what they had done for the abandoned species. The dying Cylani sun had been reignited using energy manipulation techniques taught by the alumni and powered by human fusion technology. The polluted Nethra oceans had been cleaned using Korthak mineral processing combined with human determination. To never give up. President Collins called the assembly to order. Today they would vote on the most important decision in galactic history, the new constitution that would govern their alliance. "Friends," she began, 5 years ago, we were all outcasts, rejected, abandoned, told we weren't good enough for civilized society. Today, we gather as equals to create something better than anything the galaxy has ever seen. The first speaker was Zixta, now fully grown and serving as the Cylani representative. Her golden bark gleamed under the hall's lights, and her voice still sounded like wind in leaves. The old council taught that strength came from perfection, she said, but we have learned that true strength comes from growing together. Like a forest where different trees support each other, our alliance is stronger because of our differences, not in spite of them. Next came Mordon, the Korthek elder, whose slow, deep words carried the wisdom of centuries. In the old days, he rumbled, each species walked alone through the stars. Now we walk together. My people have a saying, the strongest stone supports others. This is what we have built, not a tower where one stands above all, but a foundation where all support each other. Representative after representative spoke, each telling the story of how the Alliance had changed their world. The energy beings have learned to take physical form by working with matter-based species. The aquatic peoples had built new ocean worlds with the help of terraforming experts. The winged species had created orbital cities where they could fly freely while still living alongside ground-dwellers, Dr. Kethalon. Now one of the Alliance's most trusted advisors spoke for the reformed council species. I once believed that order required uniformity, the crystal being admitted. I was wrong. True order comes from harmony, different notes playing together to create beautiful music. The old council was a single cold note repeated endlessly. This alliance is a symphony. But the most moving speech came from an unexpected source. Fleet Commander Vextar, the former council military leader who had attacked Haven Station, now spoke as a representative of the reformed Krell hierarchy. 5 years ago, I came here to destroy you, Vextar said, his insect-like voice carrying shame and wonder. I believed you were weak because you helped those who could not help themselves. I was blind to the truth that a civilization is measured, not by how it treats the strong, but by how it cares for the vulnerable. He paused, looking around the hall. My people have learned much from humans and their allies. We have learned that protection is not weakness, but the highest form of strength. We ask not for forgiveness, but for the chance to prove we can be better than we were. The debate continued for hours, but it was clear that the vote would be unanimous. Every species wanted to be part of something that valued them for who they were, not what they could contribute to someone else's power. When the final tally came in, President Collins smiled as she announced the result. The Galactic Compact of Species Equality passes unanimously. We are no longer an alliance of refugees and outcasts. We are a civilization based on the radical idea that every life has value. The celebration that followed lasted for days. But Admiral Morrison found himself in a quiet corner of New Haven, looking out at the stars through a viewport. Captain Sue Bennett found him there. Thinking deep thoughts, Admiral? She asked, just remembering. Jake replied, when we first met those refugee ships, I never imagined it would lead to this. What do you think happens next? Sue asked. Jake pointed to the viewport. Beyond the celebration, they could see ships arriving and departing constantly. Traders, explorers, families, moving to new worlds, students heading to interspecies universities. The galaxy was alive with movement and hope in a way it hadn't been for centuries. Look out there, Jake said. Every day, more species asked to join us. Every week, we discover new worlds where different peoples are learning to live together. The old council controlled maybe half the galaxy through fear. We're reaching the other half through hope. And the council holdouts? Sue asked. Jake's expression grew serious. They're still out there, still convinced that their way is right. But they're shrinking every year. hard to maintain an empire. Of superiority, when everyone can see there's a better way to live. As if summoned by their conversation, Dr. Brooks appeared with exciting news. Admiral, Captain, you need to hear this. We just received a message from the Andromeda Galaxy. They've been watching our transformation for years. They want to establish diplomatic contact. Jake and Sue looked at each other in amazement. Contact with another galaxy, something the old council had never even attempted. It seems, Dr. Brooks continued, that our reputation has spread farther than we thought. They called us the galaxy that learned to be kind. That night, as the celebrations continued throughout New Haven, Jake Morrison walked through the same corridors where he had once seen dying refugee children. Now those corridors were filled with schools where human kids learned alongside young Cylani, Korthik, and dozens of other species. They played together, learned together, grew up together, seeing no difference between a friend with bark for skin and one with scales or crystals dot in the research labs. Scientists from hundreds of worlds worked on projects that would have been impossible alone. They were developing faster-than-light communication that would let families stay in touch across galactic distances. They were building medical technology that could heal any species. They were even working on ways to restore dead worlds and rekindle dying stars. But most importantly, they were solving the problems that had once seemed impossible. Hunger was becoming rare as agricultural techniques were shared freely. Disease was being conquered as medical knowledge spread across species barriers. War was becoming obsolete as more species learned that cooperation brought better results than conflict. Jake stopped at a memorial wall dedicated to all the beings who had died before the alliance was formed. Refugees who hadn't lived to see their children safe. Soldiers who had died fighting for freedom. Even council members who had been killed by their own government for supporting reform. We did it, he said quietly to the wall. We built something worthy of your sacrifice. As he turned to leave, he found Zixta waiting for him. The young Cylani had become like a daughter to him over the years. Admiral Morrison, she said in her musical voice, my grandmother wanted me to give you something. She handed him a small seed, golden and glowing with inner light. This is a memory seed, Zixta explained. My grandmother planted all her experiences of the early days into it. The fear, the hope, the moment when humans chose to help instead of abandon us. She said you should have it because you represent the best of what any species can be. Jake held the tiny seed carefully. It felt warm in his palm, alive with possibility. What do I do with it? He asked. Plant it wherever you think kindness needs to grow, Zixta replied. It will become whatever that place.